Good morning.
Morning,
Morning.
Morning.
Emilio, have you heard anything from that group, from that Almeria photograph?
Not yet,
No?
not yet, because the man who was going to do it now is in Iceland for a month.
Okay,
And
so
then-
it won't happen in August then.
Then I don't know. I don't know nothing about them yet.
Well, in that case, I may do my presentation of my Madrid pictures,
Good.
yeah, because we have nothing, yeah. I've been sorting them out, but I realize you've seen a few, yeah. You've seen I've chucked a few into the challenges. In fact, there's one in today's challenge, yeah. But yeah, I can do that. I don't know what the day will be.
Very good.
Morning,
Jill.
Jill.
Good morning.
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 Jill.
Morning.
Hi, Leslie.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, Mela.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hello.
Morning, everybody.
Hi.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, Meet Morning, Belgium.
Belgium and Spain. Oh, Belgium is there. I think. Wait.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah,
And Frank is in Granada, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like people are still logging in, so we'll give it a few minutes.
Janet.
Hello.
Hello, Janet.
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next week.
Yay.
Hi, Corinne.
Hi,
Hi.
You?
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Seis, siete, ocho.
No Frank.
No, Frank. It's not here.
No.
Frank,
Strange.
no, Frank is in Granada.
Ah.
Rod. He's in Granada with a friend. He
Oh,
has a
is he?
visitor, and they went to Granada together for the weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He didn't take a tablet or a laptop or something with him.
He hasn't a tablet and a laptop either. Just a
No, okay.
computer.
All right. One of the few these days.
Yeah.
Kathy said, Kathy apologizes because it's National Swiss Day today and they're having lots of
Oh.
celebration.
National what day?
Swiss Day.
Yeah.
Swiss Day. He lives in Switzerland.
Mhm. Mhm.
Ik weet het niet meer.
Mhm. Mhm. Dan
I'm very,
Isabella.
very quiet. You better tell a joke,
Yep.
Amelia.
Isabella, where are you?
I'm in Spain.
In Spain. Okay.
Mhm.
Good morning, everybody.
Good
Hello,
morning.
Marlene.
Morning, Ernie.
Morning.
Morning, Marlene.
Marleen. Hé, Marleen. Van, wacht.
But- Mhm. Mhm. Hola, Pedro.
Hi,
Buenos
how are you?
dias.
Hola.
Pedro.
Hola.
Pedro.
Hola, hola.
Hi, Pedro.
Hey,
Pedro.
hola.
Yeah.
Buenos días. Buenos días.
Ja, je kop stond er niet op, hè. Nou, papa Harpeling. Ja, hoor. Ah, ja, kan je zien.
I see my internet's telling me it's unstable, so fingers crossed.
Yep.
I've had one power cut already this morning, so
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
I think that's given everybody enough time. Dave, I mean, it's a typical August meeting, yeah. Fewer people on the beach and on holiday and in Granada and whatever. Yeah. So I guess you can start, Dave. Wait a minute. I have to make the screen available to you.
Many cups of tea.
Okay. You should be able to go to share your screen now.
okay, well, hang on a minute. First of all, there's quite a lot of pictures today. There's 70 something it is. I'm not the best judge in the world because I haven't got the gift of the waffle,
Ja, ik zie het aan de beste.
sadly, you know. A lot of people can talk for minutes and minutes and minutes, but I really struggle. So quite honestly, after this, I don't think I'll ever judge again. Plus the fact I really don't like speaking about other people's pictures because that's their pride and joy. And sometimes you're going to have to destroy that, you know, in your eyes, not in their eyes, but in your eyes. Saying that,
I'm
Today's
sure you're
subject
going to
is-
be gentle.
well, I try to be, but I mean, the biggest problem I have today is the wildlife subject. I think you'd be better calling it nature. Because wildlife is very distinct. Wildlife is an undomesticated animal living in the wild. And there's a lot of pictures today that don't really come into that category. It'd have been better, but nature covers a great multitude of anything. Saying that, wildlife is actually one of the easiest subjects to actually shoot for. It's just walk in your garden, you'll see a butterfly or a bee or an insect, or go down to Garucha and down to the pond there, you get 4 pictures in less than an hour, you know. So a little bit disappointing to find that there's not as much wildlife in here as perhaps it should be. Anyway, we'll kick off. Oh, hang on a minute. Stupid me. I am the open bridge. Hang on.
Mhm.
Right, I'll try it again. Right, can everybody see that picture?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, could do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, that's
fine.
actually should have been the last one, but this is the first one. This is certainly wildlife, and it looks as if it's been taken in the wild, but I'm not sure if it's dead or alive. I don't see any legs, and it looks very, very raggedy. I don't know if it's
I
been-
found this on the road in Costa Rica, and it was raining. It was completely wet, just trying to get out of the road.
Yes, yes.
I stopped and get out of the car and took a photo, and with a stick, a wood stick, I took him out of the road.
Yes, he looks very depressed.
I
Yeah,
think, I think he was happy to be helped to get out.
I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was. And I see that you took this on a phone.
Huh?
Did you took this on your telephone?
No, it was a little camera.
Huh? The XF says it was a telephone, but no matter. Anyway, you did very well to find a sloth in the middle of the road and probably save its life, because they're not the fastest moving things in the world. Exposure wise, it's very, very burnt out. And a lot of the whites are just totally burnt out. Not as sharp as it should be. And the reason I'm being maybe hard on you is because I know that you can do 100 times better, because you've got 100 times better in this competition, in this critique.
Yes.
But anyway, well seen, well captured. It's nicely in the frame, but as I say, the exposure and the sharpness leaves quite a bit. It's very, very soft all over. I don't know if it was camera shake, but it's very soft all over.
Okay.
And this is, I think it's a toucan.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, doubtful about the wildlife, as I can see a fence in the background, but immaterial. You've really captured it. I like the tilt of the head of the bird, and I like the branch. The problem with this, I can't see any detail in one single feather. So it's very difficult to expose for a bird like this when it's got black and a bright yellow breast. Very difficult to expose. But the exposure hasn't seemed to be on any of the colors. The black is just pure black, and the yellow is just pure yellow. I don't see any feather detail in it whatsoever. The only thing is this line. What is that line? Can you tell me? Is that something cloned or? Everything around about here is soft, and then you come to this very, very hard line, and I don't understand that line. But as I said, a nice capture. You've framed it well in the picture. Perhaps could stand a little more room above the head, but I like the way it's looking out. So well done. Now you see what I mean. Compared to the last two, this is 500 times better. You've got two hippos and they're interacting with each other. You've got quite a bit of action. It's sharp, reasonably well exposed. Perhaps the highlights in the mouth, maybe just half a stop under would just bring more detail in the mouth. But really a cracking picture. Let's say well framed, sharp. Not really a lot to complain about. Don't know if you can see my cursor, but I would just take that little white band out up the top there. Other than that, perfect. Really good, really good. I think that wasn't in Mahaga Beach.
That was in China, in the zoo.
In China, yeah. No, you shouldn't have told me it was in a zoo, you see. Anyway, I take it this is the same place.
Yeah.
We have an African elephant, and again, You framed it really nicely. It's sharp, it's well exposed. Perhaps the foreground can just do with some little burning in, because the elephant's quite well exposed, but the ground in the foreground, a little bit bright. Just burn it in and darken it, you know. As I say, it's a fantastic pose of an elephant kind of walking towards you. And kind of hope there's a fence in between you and it. Everything's fine except for the foreground, perhaps. Like I say, it's sharp, nicely in the frame. Yeah, not a lot to complain about. This is the thing, if your images are sharp, well exposed, well composed, there's not a lot you can complain about other than the content. So everything's fine here.
Thank you.
Now for some reason my screen is jammed. My screen is jammed. I'll stop the share and come out again. Something not happening there. For some reason, my screen is not moving. I've got bridge up here and I can't even get rid of that.
Emilio, do you have all these online?
I think yes.
So, Dave, would it help if Emilio showed them and you just commented on them?
It will be if I can get rid of bridge. I've got bridge on my screen and I can't get it shut. I can Control Alt Delete and see if I can close the bridge. I may have to shut down my computer and come back in. Control Alt Delete isn't doing anything. Right, I'm going to close my computer down and come back in.
Okay. Well, then, did you go to do the presentation, Rod? And
Sorry?
you are going to do the presentation and 15th?
15th or the 22nd, I'm not sure. It's a long month. Yeah.
Yes, because the next meeting is 5th September.
5th of September. Yeah. So I think possibly the
22nd.
22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
22nd, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have it nearly all together. Yeah, it's just a question of putting it in order and preparing it for show.
Yeah.
It'd be the first time I've shown it, actually, ever shown it as a series. Yeah. Which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
I should get an exhibition of it, really, but not so easy in Mahaka. I don't think it's right for Mahaka.
Too gloomy.
Well, yeah. No, I think you have to have experienced it to understand it, really. I think.
Back again.
You're back again. Good.
We'll try it. It may have been bridge that froze. We'll try it again. Right, you see the fox?
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially for Rod. It's cute.
I'm having problems.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't
you-
get I can't get full screen.
No, I can do it if you want.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Because I'm having problems. I don't know where's my internet.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Okay, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, Dave. Yours.
Right. The fox, you did well, as I say again, to capture this lad. Yeah, usually very, very shy. You were unlucky with where it happened to sit down. There's quite a lot of sort of debris around about it, branches, grasses. Half its tail was blocked out with some green plant. Exposure wise, it's okay a bit. When you get something like this, I would just take your dodge tool and just lighten. Of course, I'm moving my cursor and you can't see it. Lighten the face, lighten the eyes. Did you put your cursor there, Emilio? Yeah. Lighten the,
Yes.
yeah, make the eyes. Eyes are very important in wildlife. Very important in any photography, basically. And these are a bit dull and lifeless. Try and put some life, just dodge it and try and bring them up a bit, you know. I'd have been inclined to crop it into a portrait mode to get rid of that, most of that bush on the left, and just concentrate on the actual fox. Sharpness is not as it should be. It's not quite as sharp as it could be. But as I say, very well done to actually get a picture of all of these things. The feet are a little bit cut off at the feet. Again, watch your screen or your viewfinder and make sure you're getting all the animal actually in the frame rather than cut the feet off. But again, well done, well done.
Yeah, I was just sitting at the side of the road and I was just amazed it didn't run off.
Yeah, like I
And
say,
I was very quick in taking the.
like I say, it's out with your control where it happens to sit down, you know.
Yeah.
You were just unlucky it sat down where it did. Then again, you were lucky it sat down where it did. You know. But cutting the feet off was, you know, I don't know how many pictures you got.
Just the one, that one.
Like I said, very difficult, especially when it's something that just happens in front of you. You know.
I have a habit of cutting feet off. I used to do it in all my fashion pictures.
Yeah, we all do it, sadly, you know, but
yeah. No, better if you don't.
You're so concentrating on the face that you forget to look at the feet.
Yeah.
So it's always, and like especially in something like this, when it just said, "Oh hell, there's a fox," you know, you haven't got really time to think about it. So it's just unfortunate that you just clip the feet.
Okay.
Well, that's certainly wildlife. A sparrow having a drink. This is what I mean about wildlife. It's all around us. Just open the door and there's wildlife, you know. Obviously, take any into your garden or somewhere that they put out water for the birds. Just a pity about the bowl. I'm not a lover of the bowl. If that was mine, I'd be putting a branch or something just across the top of the bowl and try and get the sparrow to sit in the branch rather than the man-made bowl. I really don't like man-made objects in my pictures. You know, again, sharpness is not as it could be, especially on the face of the sparrow. The wings, no, it's a little bit soft, a little bit soft. Framing, quite good. It's obviously had a drink and it's tilted its head back to swallow it, you know. I'd have darkened down the highlights on the left to make it a completely kind of dark background and the sparrow would really pop out. but well positioned, well exposed, just the sharpness and those highlights. I would try and get rid of the highlights. The bull, well, it's certainly not classed as wildlife, but I can understand why you took this. Majestic animals. As you know, we have things like that in Spain, and I don't like getting too close to some of them, especially the black ones, the females. Anyway, this is obviously a couple of bulls pulling a cart. Love the decoration on the faces. The exposure on the face, perfect. I'd like to see half a stop less on the fancy thing that's got on its head, the design thing. Slightly burned out. And of course, in a situation like this, you've got so many distractions, all the people in the background, you know. And what upsets me is there's a guy standing there with a big club. And as that, I imagine that's hitting the bulls if they don't behave. I don't know. I'd have tried to get rid of him. But as I say, exposed well, framed well. And you've got a lot of hard lines round about the bull. You could easily have got rid of all the people in the back. You know, you've got quite a lot of hard lines for making a selection. And either getting rid of them or just blurring them down. Probably just blur them down so that you actually kind of make out their faces and things like that. You know? But no, well done. I'm assuming this was Scotland. I could be wrong.
Aye, Scotland.
Wouldn't it be Glencanach by any chance, would it? Near
North of Ullapool.
North of Ullapool. Ah, right, okay. Majestic stags, beautiful animals. And they're getting quite tame. I can remember 10, 15 years ago, a stag wouldn't let you anywhere near them. They'd be off. But now, the landowners are putting out food for the cattle. And of course, no wild animal is going to turn his nose up at food. So the stags are coming down for the food and they become more accustomed to humans, you know. Saying that, very well captured. The exposure, it's obviously quite a miserable day, which is actually quite good for some of the wildlife because you haven't got dark shadows to really ruin it, you know. Well exposed, well placed in the frame. The colours of the bracken, very nice. Obviously at the end of the year. I don't know about the second stag. It's just a pity it's right between the antlers. So this one, not a lot you can do about it other than move the car.
I didn't see that when I took the photograph.
No, I can believe that. I can believe that. And like I say, there's not a lot you can do other than you try and move or wait until one of the stags move, which they often do. They just walk along and, you know, like I say, it's just a pity he's in there. And actually, he looks like he's got a better head than this one that's in the front. I'm not sure if he's got. But anyway, no, nicely captured, well exposed, sharp. Not a lot to complain about. Yeah, very good. This is what I mean about wildlife. It's all around us. Just step at it down, look for a flower, butterflies, bees, insects. This is well captured. It's nicely framed. I love the purple flowers. And the butterfly, I think is quite sharp. I don't remember now. Let us see. Yeah, sharp. It says sharp. So I did take some notes in case I forgot what I was speaking about. You can say well composed, sharp, but to me the colours are just a little bit, especially the greens. I don't know if you've saturated this or I would have certainly toned down the colours and made the butterfly the most colourful thing there, as opposed to the background, which is kind of overpowering. Reminds me of like a Fujichrome on steroids, you know. But no, well done, because these little beggars won't sit still long. I know that for a fact. Nice picture. Well done. A little leopard cub. Is this a crop? I'm assuming this is a crop.
No, it's not a crop.
Crop. Very well done. I don't know if your ISO was quite high. It just lacks that sharpness, that biting sharpness. And I'm sure you could bring that back in something like, is it topaz sharpening? I don't know if you have topaz. If you don't, you should. It's amazing. You get topaz denoise and topaz sharpen, and they are quite amazing. And I'm quite sure you could bring the sharpness back. And because that is the focal point of this whole picture, that line, that leopard cub's face, it really should be biting sharp, you know. It's perfect in the frame, looking into the empty space. I love the rocks, and the shadow behind it really makes the face stand out. That's my only complaint. It's not biting sharp, you know. But fantastic picture. And 3 cheetahs. And again, excellent framing. The 3 cheetahs, I don't know what they're looking at, probably another Land Rover.
They are watching their mother hunting.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, big boys for babies, aren't they? I mean, I have had experience of them in Africa as well, and that's fantastic. Framing, perfect. The grass in the foreground, I would darken down a bit because the cubs are actually quite dark. The grass in the foreground is the brightest thing. I would darken down the grass and I'd take your eye more to the cubs. I would have focused on the front one, the one in the middle, because lenses focus more behind than they do in front. So I think that if you'd focused on the middle one, the one that was in front, you would have got all 3 sharp. As it is, it's only the one on the left that's sharp. And that's a pity, you know, that's a shame. Also, I'm not sure what you cloned out at the top. Now, cloning out is fine, but it shouldn't be noticeable. Right above the cheetah's heads, there's leaves and they're floating in the sky. Yeah, you can see that there. I would have actually, if you had a problem in that sky, I would have just trimmed it off, cropped it off. And you don't really need that band of sky. Yeah, that's exactly that, yes. You don't need that sky. Just concentrate on the 3 beautiful cheetahs. Yeah, great image, well done. I would love to go back there one day myself. You are lucky because we were all thrown out the park when it got dark. To see an elephant just at sunset, fantastic. Well, even though it's in the middle, it's still well framed because you have the 2 trees on either side to give it a frame. Now, there's no detail in the foreground, which doesn't matter at all. But because there's no detail, closing down another stop or 2 stops wouldn't have made that much difference to the foreground, but it would have made a big difference to the sky. And I think there's a lot of potential in that sky that we're not actually seen because of the exposure. And I don't know if you shot this in RAW, but I would put that back in and I would try and Photoshop to reduce the highlights and reduce the exposure and try and get detail back into that sky. Because that sky is the sky is very important in a wildlife picture because that's, you know, it's almost 2/3 of the picture. And it doesn't matter a damn if the foreground is black, it's black already. So you're not going to do it any more black, if you know what I mean. And if you had a nice vibrant sky above that, I think it would just be fantastic. Also, you've got a little bit of dip in the, or something up in the top there. Just take that out. And 1 or 2 little white spots in the foreground. Just take them out, make it just pure black, you know. But I'm jealous. I wish I'd been there.
Me too.
You know, most other people have little cats, you know. Yeah, this is fantastic. Again, I'm jealous. You have 4 elephants, beautiful elephants, and they're framed as well as you could possibly frame them given the circumstances. Black and white really, really suits them. The exposure is very, very good. Sharpness is very, very good. How could you improve it? By sheer luck, by getting that elephant that's behind just to come into a space so you can see all 4 faces. But like I say, that's totally out with your control. And I don't know if you were with a group. When I went to Africa, I didn't go in a group. We did our own thing. We hired a van, we hired the guide, we hired the driver. And we could sit as long as we wanted at a subject. But if you're in a group, okay, let's go, and you have no control. But that is a fantastic picture. Like I say, the sky is bland, which makes no difference to this image. Really nice, fantastic, jealous. Even more jealous now. The gorillas, I can never afford to go there, sadly, but oh, geez, I would love to spend an hour or 2 with those boys. Such, I mean, magnificent creatures, you know, that they haven't got a bad bone in their body and they have this reputation as a monster, you know. He's got something in his eye, and I can see that it's his finger. It's just a pity he didn't use his other hand and poke the other eye, then we could see this one. But again, out with your control. Exposure, perfect. Plenty of detail everywhere. I would lose some of these leaves on the right. I would crop them in or darken them down. I would try darkening them down, especially the one in the top right. That's very, very bright. I would just darken down the foliage and concentrate on the gorilla. Yeah. Really, really nice. Okay. Fantastic again. Not a lot to change about this. The exposure is bang on. It's sharp. The eyes are sharp, which is important. But there is some foliage around the book, but nothing really that bothers me too much. I would certainly darken down. I have a habit of darkening down all my corners regardless. And I think if you darken down, especially the top left and the top right corners and the bottom right corner, just to darken down the foliage to keep your interest bang on that gorilla. And I also take the dodge tool and just lighten his eyes ever so slightly, just to make his eye pop. Because eyes are, you know, this is what you look at, the eyes. But no, fantastic image. I would take that little leaf out in the bottom, and I'm not sure if you have already cloned one out on his, to the left of his chin. There's a strange looking, yeah, I don't know if that's been cloned, or if it hasn't been cloned, it should be, and get rid of it, you know. But other than that, excellent. And this is a powerful picture as well. I mean, it just shows you how close to being human these things are. You know? Again, the exposure, you've handled it bang on. Framing, bang on. Sharpness, bang on. How would I would crop tighter. The only thing I would do would be to crop tighter and just basically focus on that hand. Yeah, I would lose a lot of the body to the right and just focus on that hand. Yeah, because that hand is so human-like, you know. But no, another fantastic picture. Not really a lot to complain about.
Kathy.
Yeah, well done. Again, if you go down to Garucha, wildlife everywhere.
Mhm.
Two flamingos interacting. It's always best if you can get some action in the picture rather than sitting there sort of doing nothing. So you've got the old flamingo and the young flamingo interacting. The colours, fantastic colours, flamingos. The wings open, really, really nice. The exposure, bang on. Maybe some of the highlights in the feathers, very, very difficult with a bird like this, especially when the sun's shining. Just some of the highlights, just ever so slightly burned out. And I don't know if you can get that back in Photoshop. But
But it's difficult because it's the sunrise.
yeah,
And the light is very strong.
yeah. But you know, there's a thing in Olympus that will flash. You can set it to flash on any burnt out area.
Mhm.
And then you drop it down half a stop.
Mhm. Okay.
And that's the only, I mean, it's a minor, minor problem, but
Yeah.
I've got to speak about something. But other than that, perfect. The framing's perfect. I like the square frame, works really well. The water's really nice.
Thank you.
Nice little border line. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is one of the best ones. I just love it. For the first of all, the background is really fantastic. Sharpness, fantastic. Framing, fantastic. The only thing bad about this is it's not mine. You know? Other than that, I mean, that's just a fantastic wildlife shot. Absolutely fantastic. Framing, like I say, the background, there's no distractions whatsoever. You can clearly see it's a dragonfly come to a sticky end. Fantastic shot.
Thank you very much.
You can pay me later. I mean, this is I'm not sure about wagtails. I'm not sure if it's a white wagtail or.
It's
Sorry?
it's I don't know the name in English now. It's lavandera. Lavandera. Lavender. Lavandera. It's I don't remember now the name. Latin name.
Yeah.
'Cause
Derek calls them white wagtails. You know, I don't know. To me, a bird is a bird kind of thing. I just photograph them. I don't need other names to photograph them. Anyway, it's a wagtail. And again, it's nice that you've actually kept the shadow as well as the reflection, and that's quite important, I think. Exposure, again, just on the rump of the bird, the white's just slightly burnt out. Again, very difficult with a bright light. But if you've always got to strive for perfection, which is almost impossible to get. But as I say, there is a thing in, you can set your camera to flash on any burnt out highlight. And that will give you a warning. Or, I don't know, do you use your histogram, Amelia?
Instagram.
Yeah, do you use your histogram in the camera?
No.
Oh, well, I'll have to show you that when you come up. You should have your histogram on.
Okay, thank you.
That will tell you that you've got a burnt out highlight.
Very good. Thank you very much.
But nice picture, like I say, well framed, everything's been sharp as it should be, reflection, shadow, excellent. I just hate him. This is taken in Caravaca, Fuente, I find. No, it's not. That's at my place.
Yes, in La Risca.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks ago. I mean, you can't get any better than that, really. Again, the background there's nothing in that background that's going to distract you from the damsel. The leaf in the water to get them to land on that. Saying that, I've been training them for months for Amelia's benefit, you know. But no, to get them to land on that leaf in the water, fantastic.
Thank you.
Not a lot you can say about that. That's bad. I can understand why you took this. I like the blur in the wings, and the black and white actually suits it. You've got the bird flying into all this empty space. There's no real distractions. Perhaps, I don't know, the head's quite sharp. The only thing in this that worries me is that white gap in the wing. I would have filled that in. There's a, on the bird's left wing, right as we look at it, there's a white gap. And I don't know if the other wing, Amelia.
Good.
This one there, yeah. I don't know if there's feathers missing from there, but I would certainly fill that in just to make it black. The other wings blur anyway, so it really doesn't matter that much. But no, well done, and well done for getting it sharp in flight. Obviously, quite a slow shutter speed as well. This one, I feel it's more about the shapes than it is about the wildlife. Okay, the sparrow is wildlife, and you've got the shapes, and that's like the twig that the sparrow's holding, that's like echoes the shape. But as far as wildlife goes, I would like to see more of the sparrow. And I'm looking at the sparrow and I can't see any eyes. There's no detail up in the face. For me, I would like to see more of the sparrow and more detail in the sparrow and a little bit sharper. Other than that, I can see his idea, but no, for wildlife, needs sharpness, I think, more of the subject, This is a white peacock. Not too many of them going about. He's got the exposure almost perfect, I would say. Some of the highlights maybe slightly burnt out, but it's a white peacock, it's very, very, very difficult. But I think he just grabbed this as the bird was disappearing over the wall, because the head's kind of lost in the shadow. All you're getting is a tail. And I don't think that he's got the best out of this bird. I mean, I would follow this bird for an hour and just see where he goes, see what he does, wait till he opens his tail. I think there's a lot of pictures there that it just didn't manage. To me, it looks like the peacock's doing a runner, and he just grabbed it as it went over the wall. Plus, the dark has a lot of highlights in it. And I mean, that's not difficult to get rid of all these highlights, because it's just black up there. So I would certainly lose the highlights and try and bring some detail back in the head. But no, well seen, a good try, good effort, yeah. A load of mallard ducks. I mean, I quite like this. The orange feet of the ducks really, really stand out against the ice, the blue of the ice. I looked at the picture. I think this was taken in 2009, I think, which kind of defeats the purpose of the set subjects. To me, there's no photographer's input. He's come along, he's seen a squad of ducks sitting there, and he's taking the picture. And there's so many individual portraits there that he could have had, I think, rather than just take a record shot of the ducks, basically. Saying that, the exposures, bang on. They're actually nicely framed. He's managed to get them all in without cutting them off. Yeah, very nice picture.
Frank.
The fox. Beautiful animals. Again, it's a bit about the harsh sunlight, but you handled it quite well. it's very difficult. The soil here in Spain is very, very white, and it's very difficult to expose for the folks and for the ground. I usually try and darken it down in Photoshop or something. I like the way he's sitting there. There is some light in the eyes, which is nice. You've got the shadow mostly in. You've got the feet almost all in. Just a toenail missing maybe. But no, very good effort. The background, I would have tried to soften it or darken it or something, just to try and get rid of some of these branches. Again, probably out with your control, because I'd imagine it's in a park of some description. But very good effort. Like I said, sharp, well exposed, framed nicely. Lost a little bit of the brush, but then if you, I don't know if you've got space round about it, but that's a crop. But if you included the brush, you lost the ears in the shadow. So without seeing the original, if that is original, then you did very well. Can't forget any of that. I've forgotten the name of these things. What's the name of that?
Sorry?
What's the name of that? I forgot the name.
Oh, okay.
Meerkat.
Yeah, the meerkat. Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, the meerkats.
I was just testing you. Exposure, almost bang on. Framing, really nice. I would try and blur the, assuming it's a wall of the cages or something like that. I would try and blur that a little bit more or darken it down a little bit more. But the actual meerkat, really nice. It's pin sharp. The exposure is almost spot on. There's maybe a little tiny bit of burning out in it, but then it's kind of backlit a little bit. So very, very difficult to do anything about that. You've got on the animal's right eye, there's two catch lights. I would have taken one out just to make it more natural looking. I would have taken the one on the extreme left of the eye. I would have taken that out. Other than that, really not a lot to complain about. It's sharp, well framed. It's nice that you've cropped down so tight to get rid of most of the background. Yeah, very good. Well, there's no motion blur here that I can see, so you're okay. They're amazing animals. Outlive us. They obviously like to bathe in the mud, which is not doing them any favors. There's not a lot to say. I mean, I would think you've cropped this a little bit too tight. The head is very near the edge. I mean, it's sharp, it's well exposed. There's no real distractions. I would maybe darken down the wall behind them. The head is just a little bit close to the edge. I would try and give that a little bit more space. Give it more space to move into, you know. Other than that, well done, really nice. There's a little green branch as well above the head. I would take that out. Just above the head there, there's a little green branch. I would just take that out just so. This is a nice picture. Very well done to get these two populating like that. You framed it well. They're sharp. They're well exposed. There's a couple of things just on the edge. You should always look for highlights on the edge of an image. And there's two in the bottom left. Yeah, and they're so easy to remove, especially with a background like that. And there's also a branch on the top left that I would take out. Like I say, have a look at your picture and say, how can I improve it? I mean, you're too late. The picture's taken. That's what you've got. How can I improve it? Are there anything on the edge of the frame that doesn't need to be there? And these highlights don't need to be there. They're not doing anything for the picture. That branch doesn't need to be there. It isn't adding to the picture because everything else in the frame behind it is soft, but that branch is quite sharp. So I would certainly lose those and just darken down the foliage behind. It's a bit bright. Just darken it down. Just take the burn tool, just darken it down. And it makes such a difference, you know. Simple things make such a difference. But well done. You've got them sharp. You've got them well exposed, well framed. Really nice. Well done.
Yes.
These must be the most ugly birds in the world. And I see a lot of them in Africa, and quite often it was difficult to photograph the marabou storks. Like I said, I think they're the most ugly birds, especially the heads. I don't know, it's just not my favourite bird. Anyway, it's nice that you've got 3, and again, out with your control. A pity that 2 of them are facing away from you. I don't know how long you stood there, but these birds probably stand like that for an hour or so. To say you should have waited might be talking rubbish, you know. But again, out with your control. The black and white actually suits them. It's a pity that there's so much debris behind them. And again, I would try and just darken that down to draw your eye to the birds, you know. But no, they're sharp. Perhaps round about the neck, they're a little bit burnt out. And like I said, they're not the best subject in the world. And you were unlucky with the pose that 2 of them are actually in the huff and facing away from you. But very good, good try. I am so disappointed with you with this image. You have got one cracking image that could have been. You've got, I mean, the framing is just perfect. You've got a beautiful white horse. You've got a beautiful stone wall and a road taking you up to the horse. You've got foliage on the right, some foliage on the left to keep your eye in towards the horse. But what have you done to the sky? You've painted it with blue and it's in the hill. The horse is totally burnt out. The exposure is obviously, you know, a couple of stops, maybe 2.5 stops over. Like I said, it's a damn shame because that's a really, really nicely composed picture. And it's kind of black and white. So I would have made it black and white and just left the sky as it was, instead of painting in the blue color. Because as I say, you've spilled into the hillside. And if you look at the trees on the left, you've just painted up to the edge of the trees, and you can see the old sky, the old grey sky. Yeah, you know, I mean, Photoshop will replace a sky so easily that I would have used that, either that or make it black and white and leave the sky alone. And like I said, it's such a shame because you've got it's a fantastic image. Just technically, you've let it down, you know. And I would try and go back into Photoshop. If that's a raw, I would try and go back and forget about the blue painting, you know. If you're going to replace the sky, then try and replace the sky. But with black and white, I'd leave it alone. Concentrate on that horse. See if you can get some detail back into that horse. Because the horse is looking in the right direction, it's in the right place, bang on the third. Like I say, you've got the stone wall taking you in. Really, really nice picture. It's just to put the technical side, let it down. Chameleon. I like the way you've actually not shown the whole chameleon, and the flat light does it favours. They are fantastic animals, and it's been sharp. You've framed it well. Some highlights in the back that I would have toned down. I don't like anything bright on the edges of the frame. I'm always trying to tone them down. And of course, the main objection is that blue pole. I mean, how nice would that have been if it had been on a branch or, you know, something not man-made, especially for a wildlife thing, you know. But no, it's well positioned. The crop's nice. Burn down the highlights at the top. Not a lot of bad things to say about this. It's really nice portrait of a chameleon. Well done. Now, even with the best intention, that isn't wildlife. you know, I can see why you took it. It actually shows that the chicken, captive chicken, probably hoping to get out. If you're going to do something like that, then you have to get that eye pin sharp. And the point of focus is somewhere on the comb at the front of the beak. And if the eye had been sharp, it would have helped out 100 times. You know, the eyes are so important in anything, portrait, wildlife, anything. The eyes are the thing to focus on. You've cropped it nicely. Like I say, I'm not a lover of the wire fence, maybe, but I like the fact that you've got the head and the eye in that gap. But what's your focus and put your spot on the eye, make sure the eye's been sharp.
Primera.
Zebra, again, obviously not taken in the wild unless you've got a drone or shooting from a double-decker bus. But I'm not sure about this. I mean, it's well exposed, it's sharp. I just don't know if there's one too many. I keep going back and forth to the two young zebras. I just can't make up my mind. I love the patterns on the adult zebra. And I think that in one youngster would have been fine. I think the two youngsters are competing for attention. Not a lot you can do about it. You can't even crop one out because it's overlapping, you know. But certainly different. I love the different idea behind it, shooting down using the pattern. Actually looked like a set of ribs and a pelvis on the adult. Very good, very well done. Good try. This is an excellent hummingbird. I love the background. There's absolutely nothing in the background to distract. I love the colours on the bird. The fact that the bird's soft all over, except for the head, it's okay. Couldn't care less. Really nice. I don't know, is this quite a big crop? Pardon me. Is this a crop? Don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a crop. Yeah.
The trouble is when you crop, especially a big crop, you exaggerate noise and you lose sharpness. And I don't know if you have topaz, but I would run it through topaz again and try and get the eye. As I say, the eyes are so important, especially in wildlife and everything. If that eye had been pin sharp, that would have been an absolutely stunning. And in topaz, you can remove all the noise and you get a really smooth look to the bird. Excuse me, I'm going to have to get a glass of water.
I am using the topaz. It's very nice to do it, to take out the noise and sharp. It's a very nice program.
I use it too after Emilio and Dave's recommendation, and I can endorse that as well. It's
What's it called?
So hummingbird.
Topaz.
Topaz.
T-O-P-A.
Thank you. I'll look into that. That's a good recommendation.
Like I said, the difference between a good picture and a stunning picture is very little. If that eye had been pin sharp, that would be absolutely stunning. And I would get rid of the noise. Some people like the noise, I don't. And especially the bird's quite blurred anyway, so the noise isn't going to do any harm to the bird. But really, really, really well done to catch it in the first place. Well done.
Yeah, sorry.
You're not frozen as well, are you, Amelia?
Yeah, just a moment. I'm sorry. Can you see now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually like this one.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, wildlife, yeah, I suppose it is. I love the fact it's got a vacancy and the birds flying to the vacant spot on the feeder, you know. Exposure's okay. The bird's a little flat, maybe, but I run the sponge tool over that, it might just brighten up a bit. The bird's sharp. And like I say, I love the vacancy sign. It just works. Again, I don't know if you have topaz, but I can highly recommend it. It can really sharpen up an image and remove noise and really improve. Well done for seeing that and for catching it. Well done. The trouble is when you put two similar images in, or two the same, except one's colour and one's black and white, you start to compare them. Is that one better than the first one? Is the first one better than that one? And the comments I made about the first one really carry over to this one. I'm not sure about the two youngsters. My eye goes from one to the other and then to the mother. And I think the main part of the picture is the shape on the mother's back rather than the two youngsters, you know. I think I prefer the black and white. And I think, like I say, I think it would be better with just the one youngster, but that's out with your control. You could, I suppose, technically remove the one on the right. You'd have an ear to contend with. You could clone that ear from the adult. But if you like it like that, then you know, perfect.
Janet.
Very nice butterfly. Very nice. I like the way it's framed. It's in a nice position. The square frame really suits it. And the stamen of the flower, just on the third, the butterfly, covering the other thirds. Exposure, maybe half a stop over, you know.
Sorry? David, we lost you.
Wonder. Would have given you
Was-
detail in the
You
flower.
were frozen. Sorry, you were frozen for a while.
Ah, right. Yeah. Where did you get me?
Yeah.
How far behind am I?
Mhm.
I'll repeat it one.
Okay.
Right. Like I say, I love the framing. A very beautiful butterfly. Love the position of the flower and the butterfly. The square crop really works well. Exposure, I think, is about half a stop over. The whites and the stamen of the flowers are kind of burnt out. And I would like to see it just half a stop under. And even though that would make the butterfly a little bit darker, you can always bring the butterfly back. But it's important to get these highlights, you know, exposed as best as you can. But really nice, very nice picture. I'm okay, am I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if I was frozen again there. Otters, one of my favorite animals. Love them. And even though this is, like I say, probably in an enclosure, still a very nice picture of the otters interacting with each other. They are very sort of sociable animals. They will sleep together, play together, and you've got the face and the exposure is spot on. You've got the face of that otter really, really nicely, looking towards us kind of thing. Doesn't really matter that the other one's looking away. You've got that one perfect. Exposure, framing, everything right. The cloning is the only problem I have with this one. It's on the stick at the top. I don't know why you cloned it. But if you're going to clone it, you've got to really clone it that no one knows it's been cloned. And the whole top right-hand corner there's a lot of repetitive shapes coming in there. And on the stick, you can see the obvious joins of the clone, you know, which is a pity. I would have another go at the cloning, and especially in Photoshop, you've got content-aware fill, which is a fantastic thing. It would handle that better, and it's only a couple of clicks of the mouse. You don't have to do anything. You just select the area, click content-aware fill, and you know Photoshop does the rest. And you won't get these joins, and you won't get. And if you do see any repetitive shapes, they just go back in and just clone over the top of the shapes to make them non-repetitive. But a really nice picture, really nice. A red panda, I think this is.
Oh. A raccoon.
Sorry?
It's a raccoon.
Oh, right. You've caught its face really, really well. The tongue hanging out. It must have been a hot day. Exposure, spot on, Jane. Framing, not too bad. Again, it's your cloning that lets us down. You know, you've obviously tried to make a selection around about the animal to insert a different background or to do something with the background. And you can see the hard lines on the top of its head there. And I think, you know, either leave the background as it is and just try and darken it down, because and there's repetitive shapes down the bottom left. When you do that, I mean, hair is notoriously difficult to make a selection on. Even Photoshop struggles with hair. It's almost impossible to get a good hair selection. So I would just live with what's behind it, try and darken it down or crop it out. But when you leave distinct hard lines like that, it just takes away from the beauty of the image, you know.
What's happening now? Is it on now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because my connection is not very good too.
You as well.
Yes.
Okay, here we have another red fox. Obviously, I don't think it's wild, but that's beside the point in this. I don't know if you've tried to make this into a painting or give it a painterly look. I'm not sure about this one because the face of the fox is, I mean, exposure's well, it's framed well. You managed to keep detail in the whites. The eyes are not as sharp as they could be. There's something going on with the background that I don't know what it is. It looks very, I don't know, rough, lack of a better word. Yeah. And the fox's left ear is very, very strange. What happened with this one? Did you try and make it into a painting or?
No. I can't use these silly programs, so I messed them up, as you can see. I was trying to get rid of branches that covered the ear, and I didn't like it. And I was trying to get rid of stuff in the background by.
Well, you kind of destroyed that. Yeah, like I say, go into Google and Google content-aware fill. It's so easy to use. you would make a selection round the stick and push content aware fill, and Photoshop does the rest. As it is, you can see that, I mean, it's got a hard line.
Okay, you've shown me a long time ago.
And I mean, like
Yeah.
it's a beautiful
Thank
portrait,
you.
you know, but what you've done to it takes away, especially that ear. That ear is so unnatural.
Right. It was a long way off, actually. It really was a long way off, and I zoomed right in and made a mess of it. But I just like his face.
The face is beautiful. I mean,
But you don't miss a trick, Dave. Thank you.
sorry?
I said you don't miss it.
Yeah, you're breaking up or I'm breaking.
Very helpful.
But anyway, a really nice portrait. Well done, just content aware fill.
Yeah.
Jane.
Now, this is another image that's been well captured. I mean, the young monkey staring right at the camera, just perfection. It's cropped well. The sky's bland, doesn't really matter. Black and white suits it. But the monkey's face, like I said, the faces are so important, and it's so easy to lighten that face. Just take the dodge tool and just lighten that youngster's face, and what a difference it would make to your picture, you know. And this branch on the bottom right, you don't need that. Yeah, just lighten that baby's face. Take the dodge tool, just dodge it, you know. Makes such a difference. Also, the branch on the bottom right, because you've got such a plain background, that would be so easy just to take it out. It served no purpose in the picture. Take it out. The top ones gives a nice frame, but that bottom one, the bottom right, is doing nothing for your picture, and I would certainly take it out. But again, like I said, concentrate on that monkey's face and take the dodge tool and lighten it up, and it'll be a fantastic little portrait. Same applies to this. I mean, you've caught the monkey well, it's eaten a nut or something. It's framed well, you've cut the feet off a little bit, but exposure is quite nice. Nothing really burnt out. Again, just take the dodge tool over that face and brighten it, especially around about the eyes. The eyes, like I said that's before, so important, the eyes. Foliage behind, it's not a problem, it's well out of focus. Maybe darken it down slightly. Again, the main thing is just lighten that face, get some sparkle in the eyes, and watch your frame the next time for cutting off feet. Like I said, so easy to do, we'll all do it. Just take your time and look at your viewfinder, you know. And it's much the same for this one. You've caught the monkey well. Foliage behind it is fine. It's a pity it's on a man-made fence, but other than that, out with your control. Exposure on the monkey is quite good, but again, lighten that face. It's all about the face, you know. So if that's a raw, go back into Photoshop and just dodge that face, dodge the faces, and darken down the fence. You know, make it darken it down, try and make it as unobtrusive as it can. This is some kind of heron. I'm not sure what kind of heron it is, but a lot of herons, you know. The background, the heron, exposure on the heron is quite good. The legs are, that's the only part of the bird that's really burnt out. Like I say, half a stop under would bring the detail back in the legs. It's framed nicely. It's looking out. You've got space for it to look out. The background behind the bird is nice and dark. The bird really stands out. And again, it's just out with your control, but it's a pity about the man-made thing that is standing on. I don't know what it is. It looks like maybe a pool or a drinking bowl or something. Just other than that, it's a really nice portrait.
Absolutely.
Not sure about this one. It's not something I'd like on the wall. I think actually there's 4 pictures here, and I think they make a great set. So I think we should have had this in a couple of months ago. Plus, I think it would make a great documentary set. But wildlife, well, it's not really wildlife, it's a domestic cow. And I mean, it's difficult to say. You can hardly, you're always looking for a splash of red in the picture, but the blood. I'm not sure about this one at all. And like I say, exposure is fine, sharpness is fine. Like I say, the subject matter is not something I would. I can understand why you took it. You're absolutely proud of this calf. And like I say, it's a great documentary image. This one, you've actually got a better one with your name on than this one. I mean, it's sharp, well exposed. I love the straw. There's nothing really distracting about it. It's obviously the calf just after it was born. There's nothing much from the photographer here other than getting it sharp and hitting the button. I always like to see some input from the photographer. And this is kind of just like a record shot of the calf just after it was born, which you've handled well. I'm not sure about the leg on the, I think it's his leg, on the left. It looks kind of strange and displaced. But no, like I say, I think documentary-wise, perfect. Wildlife, no problem. Now, I spoke about input from the photographer, and this one has it. You've got this moment between the cow and the calf. You've got the calf turning towards its mother. You've got the mother probably licking the calf. Really, really, really nice image. All the whites are well exposed. The whole thing's well exposed, well composed. Nothing to complain about. But I will get on that content aware and remove that blue collar. And I think that would make such a difference to that image. I would remove the whole collar. Yeah, and it'd be fairly easy to do because, and I think it would just make it so much better. It would take away the farmyard feel, and made such a difference. Excellent picture. I love the picture. Again, kind of exposure quite well. Maybe the highlights on top of the head look kind of burnt out from here. But a good record shot again. Like I say, documentary-wise, spot on. Wildlife, well, it's not wildlife, it's a cow, it's a calf. But the young boy is obviously having the time of his life feeding this calf. Like I said, it's framed well, cropped well. Yeah. Like I say, it's just documentary. Now, going back to your second image after the newborn calf lining, that is a lot stronger because there's input. Yeah, the next one, that one. And now that one, just a calf after it's born, just a record shot. If you go back to the named one now, Amelia, that, some input from the photographer. And photographer's got down low, same level as a calf, full on. The highlights are pretty well okay. Sharpness could maybe be slightly better on the eyes, but it's not bad at all. But to me, that is a nice picture, a nice, that is a photograph rather than just a record shot. Very good. Oh, you're testing me today. There's so many things I could say. Well, wildlife is not. I like the fact that the photographer's gone down the same level as the cat. And somebody's obviously not going to be happy tonight unless it's a feral cat, in which case everybody's happy. Exposure wise, it's not bad. The sky is kind of burnt out. Like I say, half a stop under would help the sky and the whites on the cats. The whites on the cats are not bad. If I had been doing, again, this is kind of documentary stuff, road kills, I would have waited for a car to just go past it and then photograph it with a car just going away from the cat to show that the cars are killing wildlife on the road, even though that's not wildlife, but the other ones are. And the same would apply to the other ones. I would try and get a vehicle of some description, a motorbike, car, just as it goes past, you know, to say that that car just killed that cat, kind of thing, you know. But a good, it's nice to see something different, actually. Somebody's put a wee bit of thought into this and tried something different. And the dead. And same applies. The sky's a little bit bland, that's not a problem. Again, how much better that would have been with a blurred car just going through the picture. You know, just to realise that the connection between cars and the dead animals in the road just helped to make that connection. I mean, you can obviously see it's been run over, but if it had been in good condition, you said, well, maybe it just died there. But if you have this vehicle, then you can associate that the cars kill wildlife. And that would be quite a powerful image. There's not a lot left of this poor here, and it's not as good as the other two. Like I say, there's not a lot left, just a pair of ears. Exposure-wise is fine. Nice to see that you got down level with what's left of the hair. I can't say anything really bad about it, really. It's just a flattened hair on the road. And again, you can hardly put a car in there. You haven't really got the space for a car. And a wild boar. Something obviously had a good feed because it's only got 3 legs as far as I can see. So something had one of the legs.
One was completely broken.
Sorry?
The right left ear is completely broken. It was turned around, his leg in the back.
Yeah. I don't think the vultures got at it. It's too complete. It's actually quite a stark image, and this is wildlife because things die in wildlife, things die in nature.
That was my idea.
Sorry?
That was my idea.
Yeah.
Daily death on the roads.
Yes. Well, death on the roads is man-made kind of thing, whereas it's more natural. Things do die naturally, and normally something comes along that eats it, which keeps the cycle kind of going, you know. So I prefer this one, even though this is wildlife in the raw kind of thing. Things live, things die, and so it goes on. Exposure-wise, very good. Sharpness, very good. It's framed well in the frame. I have a habit of darkening all my corners down, regardless of an image. And I think it makes a difference. I would darken down the corners to really pull your eye into the cavalier mode. Really nice, different. Very, like I say, it's nice to see somebody trying something different.
Thank you.
And it's a cow. It's not wildlife, it's a cow. But it's quite a nice portrait of the cow. It's well framed. I love the background. It's not often you see a cow in that kind of background, you know. It's a funny kind of background for a cow to be in. You associate cows with green pastures and what have you. So I like the fact that it's got its head turned and looking out a little bit. Again, I would darken corners and watch your highlights on the cow's face. The highlights are kind of blown. Sharpness wise, it looks okay. Darken the corners, fine. There's nothing really objectionable in there that's taking your eye away from the cow. I love the shadow of the horn on the body of the cow. Really nice. It's just a pity it wasn't a buffalo or something. And that is wildlife. Like I said, wildlife, it can be so simple. Just go down the park and get a duck. It's a nice, very nice portrait of the duck. Exposure wise, it's spot on. You've got detail in the shadow. You've got a little catch light in the eye. The feathers are nice and sharp. There's a little splash of orange where its feet is. Framing, I would have moved the duck slightly to the right, because the duck's looking out of the frame to the left. I would give it more space to do that. So I would have put the tail of the duck slightly further to the left and given the beak a wee bit more space. Other than that, a very nice portrait of the duck, mallard duck. Very nice. Black moon stilt. Beautiful birds. You've handled the exposure not too bad. Maybe a little bit of burnout just on the shoulder of the bird, but black and white birds are notorious for trying to get both exposures correct, you know. I like the crop. I like the position. I like the leg, one leg back. It's not just as if it's standing on a stick kind of thing. You can see the birds actually walking. I love the reflection. Sharpness is my biggest complaint. The eye of the bird, well, none of the bird actually is sharp, but especially the eye. Like I say, you should always concentrate on that eye, you know. I see also you've got fringing, some coloured fringing there. You get fringing a lot with a high contrast like black and white. You'll quite often get fringing. And again, it's so easy to remove in Photoshop or Lightroom. I assume Lightroom does it as well. I never used to, I only use Photoshop. But it's a click of the mouse and it'll remove all that. Can you zoom into the wing, Emilio?
Yep.
Yeah, there. And you can see that green fringe and the purple one on top of the bird. These are so easy to remove in Photoshop. And like I say, I assume in Lightroom. I remove these and I automatically click on every image I take. I just assume it's there. But they do show up more on a high contrast, where you've got quite light and dark, and that's a high contrast.
Mhm.
Again, I would darken the corners, bring your eye into the bird. But sharpness is, you know, they've got to be sharp. You've got to get it sharp. Love the parakeet. I think half a stop under again, I mean, it's not burnt out, but I think half a stop would increase the colour on that bird's head and the beak and really make it more vibrant. The tilt of the head's quite nice. You can still see the eye. If you'd lost the eye, then it wouldn't have been quite so attractive. I think half a stop under would have saturated the colours on that bird's head and its beak. The pose is nice. I love the branch coming through at a diagonal. Really nice. It's sharp, well framed. What I would have removed was all these highlights. You've got a very blurred background. So removing highlights is very, very easy. Again, content aware fill. Just circle these highlights, content aware fill, and they're gone just a second. You know? And it's so easy and it makes such a difference. If all your background was looking like the bird to the right of the bird's head, that mottled green, get rid of all these highlights and make it much better. And that, like I said, it's easy to do.
Rot.
Are you pushing the boundaries here, Rod?
You wait. More and more. Huh? Yeah. It's a photography club. I like the photograph.
Yeah, you picked the subject, wildlife. I mean, it actually is wildlife. There is a pigeon. I'm assuming it's a pigeon.
Yeah.
Sitting on top
Pigeon.
of the post.
Yeah. It's actually, it wasn't wildlife. It was, it's animals. It's butterflies to elephants. It's not really.
Sorry, but on your website, it's wildlife.
Yeah.
Is it?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I understand.
wildlife.
And that's why I was judging it as wildlife.
It
Had you
was
said animal covers a multitude of things.
Yeah.
But on the website, it actually says wildlife.
Yeah.
When I saw the website, I saw animals. And then 14 days ago, when when Frank was doing his thing, he told no domestic animals. And today it's wildlife. To me, it's no problem at all. I made some pictures I would never have been making without this challenge. But if you want to see elephants, I can go to a zoo because in Belgium, we don't have wild elephants. Thank you anyway for the comment.
Well, it is actually nice to see push the boundaries. But like I said, because it was wildlife is so defined, if you know what I mean. But anyway, back to the pigeon. The pigeon is well framed, obviously. Rod knows what she's doing with her camera. He knows what he's doing. It's sort of bang on the third. And the fact that it's in the highlight of the clouds really makes it stand out. Had it been in the shadow, you wouldn't even seen the bird, you know. The sun burnt out. What can you do about it? Absolutely nothing. If you expose to the sun, then you're going to lose everything else. As a picture, very nice. As wildlife, well, we'll agree to differ. Now, this is more wildlife than, you know, fish is obviously wild. Exposure-wise, it could be a little bit better. The sky is kind of burnt out. I love the bend of the fish. The fish is really nice, actually. I don't know what kind it is.
It's a barracuda.
Barracuda, is it?
Yeah.
What amused me with this one, it looked like the guy's on oxygen.
Yeah, no, that was all. It was. I mean, it has a whole story to it, but I mean, the cable and everything. We were out fishing. And I was shooting pictures of him, and he said, "Oh, wait," he says, "There's an old barracuda over here somewhere. We can go and have some fun with it." Yeah.
Right.
And I thought, "Oh, wait a minute," yeah, and then we actually did. Because the fishing system is, you see that barrel just behind him?
Yeah.
That's a barrel with half a barrel with a piece of glass in the bottom. So you just look down into the water and you can see your fish. You can see where they are. Yeah. So you just hang the hook right in front of its nose. You know, and actually it didn't move. It didn't move. So he said, "Oh, I know what they like." So we went off and fished the sort of bait that he knew it liked and went back, and it was still there in the same place, just hovering. Yeah. And then he dropped that right down and he was looking, he was saying, over to the left a bit, over to the right. Oh, okay, that's it. All right, it's got it. Yeah. And it took it, and it took the wasame. We didn't have a rod or anything, just the line. Yeah. And it took the wasame, took my nail and zipped a big wasame in it, marking it, yeah. And so he said, hang on, I'll do it. And he got it. And this is all of it. This is the cable, the thing,
like I say, it's just unfortunate that white line goes right below his nose.
Yeah. But it was just in the moment, yeah.
Yeah. Like I say, these things are
Yeah,
uncontrollable.
no, it wasn't a portrait of the of the bird, of the fish.
It just kind of looks like he's on oxygen after fighting with the fish.
Yeah.
Obviously, the sky is a little bit burnt out.
Yeah.
And the paddle, I don't think we need the paddle. I would take the paddle out. I'm sure you can do something with the sky. And bring it back. He looks as happy as Larry.
Yeah, he was. He caught it, and it was edible. Yeah, because some of them aren't.
Yeah, got a few chips around the edge of that. You're laughing. Yeah, good action shot. Very good.
Yeah. Well, I thought I'd inject some humor into it. Yeah.
I can see the parrot. I can see the bird.
Yeah. Good. That's it.
The eye and the beak and the mouth and the.
Yeah.
But like I said, wildlife. You know.
Yeah. No. As you know, there's not much wildlife around here. There's a few sparrows and pigeons, you know, but
that's what I'm saying now. There's butterflies, insects, ducks.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Well, but is that not the idea of the set subject? So
I thought I'd inject some humor into it. This is actually one of my Madrid pictures. Yeah, this is a poster, an advertising poster, and when they stick them all up, one on top of the other, until it won't hold anymore. Then they rip it all down. Yeah, they rip all the stuff, and this got left. Yeah, so I took a picture of it.
Yeah, like I said, I can certainly see the shape of the bird.
Yeah, but I just thought, but well, the next one is also not really wildlife,
No.
is it?
No, a plastic elephant, no.
White paper.
One plastic elephant in Madrid, is it?
Yeah, it's in Marbella.
Marbella.
It's a shower. It's a beach shower.
Yeah, I can see the nozzle.
Yeah. And there's the
it
Marbella sign on it. Yeah.
Does it look slightly tilted? Was it tilted or is it slightly off?
No, that's straight as it was. Yeah.
I mean the
tilted. Oh, I see.
Leaning.
Yeah, no, maybe that's me.
But anyway, like I said, it's humorous. It's a plastic elephant in wildlife.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, it's nice to see something different. But, and it's actually quite a nice picture on its own, you know.
Yeah, that's why I put it there. I thought it was quite a decent picture.
There's an elephant there, colour in the elephant's ears as well, other than the coat arms or whatever they call it. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
This is the last look. Saved you for the last, Trevor. Wildlife. It looks like a Muscovy duck or some kind of duck. Khaki Campbell. I don't know if people know what a Khaki Campbell is. Khaki Campbell is a Heinz variety of duck. Usually a mallard and some domesticated duck. Beautiful image. I mean, not a lot of detail in the duck, but it's not meant to be. It's a silhouette of the duck. And the beautiful colours, beautiful sky, and the boat is perfect where it is as well. There's really nothing much to complain about. The only thing I would do is to remove, there's obviously two other ducks sitting on the shoreline at the back, just below the boat. I would just take them out. Yeah. I would just take these dark shapes out of the water. But other than that, there's really nothing to complain about. It's not a plastic duck, is it, Trevor? No.
No, it's a real one. And yeah, I like your comment about the other two ducks.
Very nice, very nice.
Is it Pueblo Laguna, Trevor?
Yes.
Garucha, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought it was.
That's a very nice place.
Yeah.
Mm.
This is what I'm saying. Wildlife is not actually difficult. You just go down there and you get 4 pictures in an hour. You know?
Yep.
The gannet, one of my favourite birds. But it's obviously discharged its cargo in flight, shall we say. And this is my least favourite of your images. But I find myself looking at the crap more than the bird. And honestly, I would take it out. I would get rid of it. I mean, I can understand. Obviously, you didn't take it for that reason. The bird, you know, you don't know the birds are going to do that. But it's quite a nice photograph of the actual gannet. The sky could have been better on another day. It'd been nice with a nice blue to show off the whites and the yellows of the bird. Like I say, the poop, I would rather take it out myself. But it's sharp, well exposed. There's some of the highlights maybe not perfect, but basically the bird's okay. There's certainly nothing distracting other than the poop in the sky. Like I said, that's my least favourite of your images.
This is a very good document with the.
And I see it's had fish for its lunch.
Okay, very nice.
Stone chat, very nice.
Mm.
Nice background, nice. The birds is well exposed. The whites are good. The blacks are good. Catchlight in the eye. Foreground good. Background good. If anything, I would maybe crop it. I don't think we need the yellow one on the left.
I agree.
Eh? I would take the yellow one out on the left and just crop it in a little bit. Other than that, it's not a lot to complain about. It really is nice, very nice. And they're not the easiest birds in the world to get close enough to take a picture of. Very good.
This actually already is a crop. And I agree with you about cropping a little bit more, but I felt cropping it further, it just lost that bite. And I decided to keep it as is for maintaining its sharpness as opposed to risking losing detail.
Well, what about make it a portrait?
Yes.
You know, if you don't want to lose it, then make it a portrait, and you won't lose any more detail of the actual bird. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm.
But no, well handled, well exposed. Everything's very good. Well done. Like I said, not the easiest subject, no.
Mm-hmm.
Magpie. They're like sparrows up here. They're everywhere. The whites in the wing maybe slightly, but like I say, a magpie and the notoriously difficult. The blacks are perfect. Got a nice catch light in the eye. Bit about the tail. You know, it's kind of got broken feathers. And the reason I'm saying that is it's got cut ends. And normally if I put a stick in, which I do often, I don't put in sticks with cut ends because it then says to me, this is a stick that's been cut and put in. I could be totally wrong. But anyway, it's got cut ends, which I'm not nuts about. Again, I would make that a portrait and cut off the cut ends. Or just take your clone and draw a jaggy line around the ends of the stick and then make it into a jaggy end as opposed to a cut off end.
Okay.
But the record of the itself, very nice. Like I said, it's very difficult to get the whites and the blacks. Pose is nice, the head tilted to the side, really good, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Was I right about the stick or wrong?
Yes, I agree with that. This was actually at a bird reserve where I was hoping to get a kingfisher, I stayed there for an hour, and the best I got was a magpie.
So somebody obviously
It's shooting.
So they've obviously
It's shooting out of the bird reserve, so it's whatever was put in over the water in the hope of seeing a kingfisher. So I assume it's been deliberately put there by them.
Yeah, but it's so easy to put on a stick that hasn't got cut ends. You know, it's. You know. But anyway, like I said, it's so easy to either clone in something at the ends, make it look more natural, or again do a portrait. It would suit a portrait.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Now this is the one I much prefer that to your gannet. You know, it's a beautiful vulture. The exposure spot on, sharp. It's on a nice rock. The background is fantastic.
Mhm.
I must
Yeah.
prefer that to your gannet.
The reason I didn't put this one in as one of the sets is that I've taken this one about 3 years ago, and to play the purpose of the challenge is to to encourage people to take photos, recent photos.
Yeah, well,
and I just felt that this one being 3 years old was too old for the challenge.
Believe me, 3 years is young. I've looked at the XFs on a lot of these images.
Yeah.
The oldest one I thought was 2009.
Was it taken on Duffy colour?
Well, it must have been a scan on, I thought, but so 3 years is young.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wanted to put my recent stuff in that I've had a go at. The only place I stretched it was my one at Garucha, which was before I left Spain 18 months ago.
Mhm.
There's some really nice images in there.
Yep.
Yes. Well, thank you, Dave. Thank you for judging that. I'm sure it wasn't so bad, huh?
Well, I must admit,
Well done, Dave.
When I saw wildlife, I thought, I wish they had just said animals, you know. But,
Yeah. No, I can't remember when we sort of decided that even pets could be part of it. Yeah.
We didn't actually decide that, Rod. You did.
Did I? Oh well.
Yeah.
That's why it's in my head then.
It's all his fault.
It's his fault.
It's his
Right.
fault. Yeah.
Of course, it's all my fault. Yeah.
Always, Rod. Nobody else's.
But I actually checked the website a few days ago just to make sure, and it does say wildlife, you know. So
Yeah.
We chose wildlife. Yeah, we chose wildlife because we wanted you to do a critique, and Emilio suggested the subject, so it was very definitely wildlife.
Yeah. Can I share again the screen just for a moment, just to show one thing? Okay, this is the Janet 1. This is.
now you can see the difference in the eye.
Yes, this is your pick, and this is one. The other one is with topaz, the noise.
That's the wrong way around. That's
can see. No? This is out the noise
removed.
And with the noise.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
mean, it's
difference.
difficult to get that pin sharp because it's a bit worn up quite a bit. But
Oh, thank you. That's really interesting. Yeah. That was great. Yeah, it was at very high speed because it was at dusk, so it's very difficult to capture.
But seriously, if people don't have topaz, denoise and sharpen they're really amazing things.
That was really helpful. I'll look into that. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's a useful hint.
And actually, okay, it's not the cheapest thing, but if you get 2 years to go together, it costs you about €35 or something.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One thing to me that has come out of Dave's excellent commentary is on so many occasions, he's pointed about getting rid of things in the background with content-aware fill and other interesting Photoshop techniques like defringe and whatever to get rid of your purple and green fringes. Just for consideration for a future mid-month session from any volunteer, it might be beneficial to quite a few people that that have never used these sorts of things for somebody to give a little demonstration, starting with a substandard image and show what can be done with it with fairly simple steps in Photoshop.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Great. Yeah.
Trevor, I quite agree. But there's a problem with Zoom. I have tried to do Photoshop with Zoom, and it doesn't work because once you go from Bridge and open your image in the raw dialog box, that doesn't show up because that's on a different page.
Ah,
you know
yes.
what I mean?
You can only share one application.
Yes. Then when you go to Bridge into Photoshop, that doesn't show up.
Yeah.
But if
we can
if
check.
you can do it, if you do it in a
check all that.
one-to-one, if you do it one-to-one in Facebook, it works perfectly.
Yeah.
So you could easily do one-to-ones. I would be happy to do a one-to-one on Facebook. It has to be Facebook. Zoom can't cope with it.
That's the problem. Yes, I agree with David. Can use Facebook to show it, but face to face.
You think Zoom would just show the screen, but it only shows one screen. The minute you go from Bridge into RAW, it doesn't show it. And RAW into Photoshop doesn't show it.
Okay, well, there's
Is it
something to go
possible, 'cause
into.
you've got a facility in Photoshop, I believe. I've never used it. I think Klaus used it quite a bit, where you can actually record your Photoshop session.
Yes.
And then that might record both Photoshop and RAW, and then you could play that back via the Zoom.
Yes, but my idea would be to get an image from someone and then go through it with them live, kind of thing. Whereas if you record something, then you can't change it, you can't input, or you know.
It's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah. But like I say, I thought about that and I tried it on Zoom. It just won't work on Zoom.
I can see that.
It's a shame.
Okay, thank you all. That was very interesting. Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I've recorded this. We'll stick it on the website. Yeah.
Very useful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Dave.
Thank you, David.
Bye.
See you. See you.
Is anyone still speaking?
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Bye, Ellen. Bye, Goran.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye, Harry.